Right, let's do this again, this time with the new Partworks magazine, Warhammer Stormbringer. Before we begin, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and you can also support us on Patreon. All the links are down below. So, new magazine, and we're going to go right back to the beginning and ask the same question that I asked when Imperium came out. So, in a minute, we're going to have a look at the full contents of this entire collection from the images they've revealed on their website. But I want to know, other than the dragons, which is the model that you're most looking forward to in this entire collection? So let me know down in the comments. We've already done the breakdown, I'll link to that, etc, etc. But which individual model or unit, group of models, are you looking forward to most in the Warhammer Stormbringer magazine? Let me know down below. So the first question everyone's going to have is, where can I get my hands on this magazine? Now, unfortunately for at least 80%, if not more, of the UK and 100% of everybody else in the rest of the world, the answer's probably you can't. Not right now, anyway. The reason for that is this is a trial. This isn't surprising to those of us who've been with the collection since Warhammer Conquest, but for those of you who are new, this is what they do. They do a trial. So the magazine has only been released in two small areas of the UK, and if you want to know where, it's kind of Middlesbrough up north and then sort of Essexy, Norwichy area down south. Those are the two places we've seen them pop up in stores. So if you want to get your hands on this magazine, it's only in a trial at the moment, and the reasons for, against, and why they do this, that can be a whole separate video. I've got articles on why and what my views on it are on fohammer.com. So if you want to know more, feel free to go and check out that, or check out the community view. Again, I think it's daft, but it's how they work and it's how they determine how many magazines they need to order to cover all of the UK. So with this now coming out in February as a trial in those two areas, the first magazine came out on the 16th of February. That indicates to us, based on the experience and just generally how Partworks magazines work, you are not going to see this properly released all the way until August. Now, that doesn't mean you can't subscribe now. You can subscribe now, and I recommend you do, because previously they have given us free gifts. With Conquest and Mortal Realms, it was a few free magazines at the beginning. With Warhammer Imperium, you got an exclusive mug, which you can check out my boring and lengthy but somewhat funny review of on a separate video. But that's how you're going to get your hands on it. So you can go to the website and subscribe. They won't take any money off you, but you will not see the magazine until at least August. But by then, they'll probably ship it at the end of August. You won't see it till September. So that's our understanding of how and when you're going to get the magazine. But either way, come and have a look at what's inside so that you can decide whether or not you actually want to get involved in this. And chances are you do. So before we crack this open, I'm just going to quickly explain what it is. So Stormbringer magazine is the latest in a partnership between Games Workshop and Hachette Partworks. So Hachette Partworks release, obviously, Partworks magazines. So these are magazines that come to you every week or every 2 weeks, and you get part of something to build a whole. So sometimes it's like a car, or sometimes it's like a model. In this case, you are building two large armies, not specific factions, but two forces that will face off against each other, specifically in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar universe. So this will, over the weeks, over the 80 issues, you will build two massive forces that can do battle against each other, which is perfect. If it's too expensive for you, split it with a friend. There's tip one. Right, let's go and rip this open, have a look at issue 1, and we'll talk about the collection as a whole. So this magazine, if you are lucky enough to find it in the stores, you'll probably find it in one of two ways. It'll either be on a big A3 sheet, and that's for normally newsagents to stick in their window and really catch your attention. And you'll also find like just an A4 version with a slightly bigger backing card than this. And that will be for the likes of supermarkets, so Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, if they stock it, and sometimes WH Smiths. Again, my newsagent had them in both versions when they had Imperium out. But as for me, this one actually came to me from, it was a recommendation or an introduction by Garfi. Everyone knows Garfi, Tale of Painters, Garfi and Starley over there. And I got an introduction from Garfi, to somebody who lived in the area. So massive shout out and thanks to Twitter user Lost One 1980. So please join me in giving him thanks. And while we're thanking people, let me just quickly thank our patrons. So I'm going to put their names down here, and you can support us on Patreon and keep getting more videos and more content out by for as little as £1 per month. You can support the channel and the website and what we do. So anyway, let's have a look at what you're all here for, because we're probably about 4 or 5 minutes into the video now and I still haven't cracked out the magazine. So issue 1, like the previous ones, comes with a couple of extra bits. So first off, it's an absolutely smashing price. So in the UK, it's only £2.99 for issue 1, and you get the 2 models, which we'll go into in a second, some dice, and you also get this big fold-out playmat, which is actually pretty decent card stock. That's nice and thick. I don't know if they'll stick with this for the final one, but this is pretty good. It's not paper, it's actually card, and it's a good size. It's a decent sized playing mat, and throughout the collection, you'll probably get a few of these, and they'll all add up. These will be different objective areas, and it shows you how to play the game, but there's some nice photographed terrain there, or there's the other side, which is all artwork and kind of desert plains for you to put your terrain on. Like, it absolutely fills the screen there. So it's huge, it's good, and for anybody interested in getting into Warhammer, this is an absolute great way, if not the best way to start, because it is significantly the most cost-effective way to get into the magazine. Right, so before we get onto the issue, I want to show you the extras that come with it. So with issue 1, this is all about upselling you and going, right, you're into issue 1, so now subscribe with us, subscribe with us. So you get a few bits of extra chaff. So this will be, oh, it's a big poster. This is cool. So it'll be double-sided. I don't think I'm going to get this all on screen. There you go. There's all the advertising fluff you get with it. But that is incredibly impressive. That's the box art from, I believe that's from Dominion. And sorry, not from Dominion. That's the cover art from the rule book that you get in Dominion. And I think the only unfortunate thing with these is you do get these creases in it. So even though you could kind of flatten this out and put it in a poster frame, you will get those creases in. But that is a absolutely huge an incredible piece of artwork. So let's have a look through these other things. So quick introduction, what it is: read, collect, build, paint, play, that sort of thing. So it tells you about the various aspects of the hobby. So there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of lore, more in 40k than there is in Age of Sigmar, because it's still only about 4 or 5 years old. Collect, so that to me, that's my favorite part of the hobby. Just collect miniatures, you don't need to do anything else. Build, that's probably my second favorite part, because it's the only part I get time to do. Paint is the bit that I want to do but never have any time, and play I personally have no interest in at all, but that's mainly because I don't have any friends. This is a really cool photo. That background there is actually Warhammer World based in Nottingham. So somebody's actually gone there and got either a couple of players or a couple of models pretending to be players to roll some dice. They've got to be added in afterwards, because that isn't just too much of an incredible shot, and there's no way that these guys would be allowed to touch any of these models here, which have clearly been painted by the heavy metal team. So let's quickly do this. So right, we'll go through this. I'll get a better picture up for you, but there are a lot of things to go through here. So here's an idea of the paints that you're going to get with it. So this probably won't be all of them, but we will most likely definitely get at least those at some point. Brushes, so it looks like, other than the starter brush, which is horrible and comes in issue 4, I believe, this starter brush here is absolutely horrible. It would be good for mixing paints and things like that, but as soon as you can, and a good reason to subscribe online is because with your first delivery you'll get some extra bits, and soon you'll get some good brushes. But you now get some brushes, and I've seen they've opted to swap out the previous natural hair brushes with the new STC synthetics, which I really like. I've got a few of. I use them mainly for oil paints. I do use natural hair brushes, mostly Kalinski Sable, but the STC range are a really, really good range of synthetic brushes. And then you even get this texture applicator, which is It's fine, you know, it's a bit of flat plastic. It's good for putting your basing materials on. So the collection, right, let's break this down. So taking a lead from Warhammer Imperium, which they did last, or we're not even halfway into at the moment, but we'll be more than halfway through by the time this comes out in August. So what they did with Imperium is they changed it up a bit. Previously it was one faction versus another faction, so officially there are only certain armies that really you would collect. You wouldn't do this kind of mix really if you were playing the game. You would really have just one of these factions. I'll go into that more in a second. So what you've got here now are two Grand Alliances. So you've got the Grand Alliance of Order, which is made up of Stormcast Eternals, so you get one of those in your first set, and you also get Caradron Overlords, which are kind of like steampunk dwarves. They're really cool. And then you get some Sylvaneth, which are kind of tree elves, tree people, not really elves, but I can't really explain it. They're just sort of tree people. They're people made out of trees. I'm trying to think of the World of Warcraft equivalent, but my brain's just gone blank. So that's the Grand Alliance of Order, and then you have the Grand Alliance of Destruction. So there are two other Grand Alliances. There's Death and Chaos, and Death was what was in the Mortal Realms magazine, in that we got the Nighthaunt models. But in the Grand Alliance of Destruction, we primarily have the Cruel Boys Orcs, which again, like the Stormcast, were the staple of Warhammer Age of Sigmar 3rd edition. And those are the newer orc faction in the Age of Sigmar. But you then have the Gloomspite Gitz, and I hope by saying that I don't get a strike from YouTube for swearing, but because it's GITZ, so therefore it's not a swear. So the Gloomspite Gitz are made up of, really, it's mostly little goblins and what's called squigs, so kind of like bipedal, gross little one-eyed, or not one-eyed, but gross little bipedal monsters. A little bit weird, but yeah, they're cool. They're a bit of a staple of the Warhammer universe. They're really awesome. And then I say a third faction, but you get one Gargant, which is the Sons of Behemat. So that's Behemat, Behemat, not Behemat as in what you'd see at the pub. So those are the two things. I've done a whole breakdown on fohammer.com of every individual model that's pictured in here. There's a few standout ones. We've got the Stormdrake Guard, which are the ones everybody really wants. But then we've got some awesome models like, you know, the Stormcast Chariot. We've got this big guy here. I forget these names. The Sloggoth something, I think. A weird mushroom tree looking half giant thing. This massive tree beast. I don't know, again, I don't know a lot of these names off the top of my head. Welcome to the wonderful world of having ADHD, people. So let's flip it over. So what have we done? Welcome to the world of Age of Sigmar is that bit. So blah blah, this is the Age of Sigmar. That's our Dominion cover art right there. And then flipping over to the back, so this is the last side. So this tells you, if you subscribe with Hachette, as I said at the top of the call, that you, as I said at the top of the video, you can subscribe now, but don't expect anything till August. They won't take any money now, they'll just register your interest. And you might get an extra freebie, like we got the free Warhammer Imperium mug, but you might not, so don't hold me to that. So if you subscribe directly with Hachette, then you will be given 4 issues every 4 weeks. And those 4 issues the first one will be 2, and then you'll get 4 issues every 4 weeks. You'll be charged every 4 weeks. And with each delivery up to, I think, delivery 7, you'll get some free gifts. So the first one is this little collection here. So you get a mold line remover. It's all right. You get some clippers. They're not great, but it's better than ripping the plastic off the sprue. And you get some plastic glue, which again, the glue is fine. It's perfect, what you want for polystyrene models, which is what this is made out of. But I don't like the applicator on these, so I've got my own views. You then get 3 brushes. So you get a medium shade brush, a large base brush, and a large dry brush, which honestly, absolutely brilliant starter set of brushes that come with, let's have a look, it doesn't tell you which ones they come with. On the website, it tells you which delivery these come with. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7, if I'm remembering right, or it might be 1, 3, 4, 5, and 7. So yeah, so you get that, great way to start, and the STC brushes are brilliant. You then get your binder with the dividers in it, so throughout the collection you'll find in the book actually splits down into sections. We'll go through more in a second. So Stormcast Eternals 1, so this will be the read section, I believe. Yep, so read has that icon, collect, build, paint, play. So your dividers, the idea of this book is you can actually very easily split apart the pages, and it's made to do that. So as you get your binder, you split it apart, and then the dividers actually make it into a booklet of different sections. So by the time you're done, when you get to the play section, which is right at the end, you've got a huge binder full of the playthrough of the game. So it'll start here, and then it'll take you through certain scenarios. So it'll be great to go through with somebody and have that full collection, so you can really get all the details and steadily introduce them with more and more models and more rules. It's a great way to get into it, and once all that's collected together using the binder and the dividers, it's absolutely brilliant. The next one I'm really excited for, but I'm really apprehensive of, and the reason for that is when the Mortal Realms magazine was in trial, they advertised, like, I don't know if it was a cup, like a pint glass, or like a stein, but they had an Age of Sigmar glass that was going to be delivered. Now, I don't know why they changed it. It may have been cost, it may have been maybe shipping glass out to hundreds of thousands of people, assuming that's how many subscribed, isn't the best idea. But either way, we didn't get it, so that got replaced with a painting cup. Sorry, a water pot. So whether this will come or not, I don't know, but the fact that it's a heat changing mug with the Stormbringer logo, I think that will be cool, and that's the one I'm most excited for and looking forward to the most. And then finally, the Citadel paint rack, which I don't know how to be nice about this. It's possibly the most useless piece of plastic I've ever seen. It has a stand, it stands upright, but you basically wedge your paints in like that, and then if you want, it can stand upright, so there's a load of them at these weird hex shapes, and then you want to pull one out and you do that and the whole thing rattles and then another one falls out. It's not the best thing in the world, it really isn't. I don't love it, I don't care for it. I honestly wish they'd just given us, even though we've got one, I wish they'd given us another paint holder, not like this one, this is just the one I've got to hand, but the newer version of that, or they'd given us another paint pot, which, yeah, I've already got 3 of them, but you can never have enough water pots. So that, not the best thing in the world, and it won't even hold the paints that you get in this collection. Right, finally, if you want to subscribe, so each issue is $8.99 a month. The first 2 issues are discounted, so I think it's $2.99 and $5.99. But if you pay online with Hachette and you pay £2 extra per issue, so bear in mind, you know, that sounds like a lot. So $8.99 goes up to $10.99, but actually, you know, it's £4 a month. So, you know, sorry, £8 a month. So when you think it's only £8 a month, it's not actually that much more. So for £8 a month, you can then get throughout the collection 4 of these premium extras. So these in the past have come with packs. So you get a pack with a few extra models in. And this isn't just me, this is the community's view so far. I'm not the first person to have said this. So what a lot of people have said already is they are not too happy with the way that this has been advertised this time. So previously it would show you everything you got in Premium Pack 1. So back with Conquest, you got some boxes, people weren't happy. But with Mortal Realms and Imperium, you got like little taster, almost like the start collecting boxes you can buy off your shelves. Not quite as many models in it, but you know, just a few less, maybe 1 big vehicle less or 1 unit less, but you got 2 or 3 units. With this one, they're not being clear as to what you actually get with it. So with issue 1, it says Yndrasta the Celestial Spear and more. Well, we know what the more is because she comes on a sprue with those models. Like anybody who's seen or even heard of Dominion, go and read our review. You can see what comes on that sprue with her. You get 3, I want to say, is it not Vindictors? 3 Annihilators, and you get a Knight Aquilor, so a guy with a banner, and then the same here with the Killer Boss. So you get 3, I want to say, Bolters. Is it the Bolter Boys? Anyway, it's skipped my mind. Go and have a look online. And you can see what comes with these. And specifically for those two, if the more is only those extra things on that sprue, this is already turning a lot of people off. Like, people are like, right, well, if you're going to say more, tell me what the more is, because people, it's not that it's not worth it. So when you think like you've got a huge winged character model on a base that's half a diorama, and then you also consider, right, you've got 3 Annihilators, which are a fairly formidable unit, and you've also got the Knight Aquilor as well. That is, yeah, value-wise, if you were to go and buy those as individual models, that is a high-value sprue. But the problem is, because it's all on one sprue, and because of we got 2 of those sprue in Dominion, we got that sprue and that sprue, along with all the other stuff in Dominion, people are just looking at that sprue going, no, I'm not doing that. Like, that sprue alone is £68, that sprue alone is £68. That's £134, have I added that up right? It's £136 for those 2 sprues if you were to buy them individually, and Dominion, the box set, was only 125. So people are already raging over the price of these sprues, not the value, the price. So to say £2 extra an issue over 80 issues, 140, 80, 120, 160 pound. So that's £40 there. That's £40 there. Yes, it's cheap when you compare it to what that sprue would cost you. You know, it's 60 odd pound down to 40, but there's just not enough on that, and people don't care enough about that to go, wow, that's a deal. So that is annoying a lot of people. I kind of hope it's them plus some extras, at least some paint or some extra brushes or something. They really need to kind of upsell that. So the third one, we've got the Grundstock gun hauler, which is an awesome one. I've got one up on my shelf that I've built. That came in the start collecting set. We do have some idea. I think what you'll probably get is some of the extra models out of the start collecting set that aren't already in the collection, along with this. And then with the Gloomspite Gitz, you get the Dankhold Troggoth. Now, there aren't many units in the Gloomspite Gitz that we don't already get in the collection. So my money on this one, you're just going to get another pack of Troggoths, really, which again is a great kit because there's so many options in there. So that's my view on Premium Kit 4. So I'm kind of looking at it thinking, yay. Yay, that's my view on this thing. So if you are wondering, am I going to get the premium subscription? Yes, I am, but I'm only doing that because I cover it for you guys. My own view on the value is, you know, a very Aussie man, yeah, nah, kind of thing. That's my best impression, my best Australian accent as well. So that really puts me off. Be clear what you're giving us, and at least then I'd consider it. Not liking that, but I'd probably pay that to get what I think we're probably going to get with that, because these are 2 good factions. And it's also worth noting that unlike the previous premium subscriptions, these will actually fit in with the existing armies, whereas the previous ones were 4 separate factions that didn't really fit. They were just kind of tasters, whereas this is an extension to what you already get, which is a good, smart way of doing with it. Right, so before we get onto the magazine, finally, you just get this quick pull out. So you'll get these throughout the collection, sort of once every 10 issues. I think they drop one of these in, but it's just kind of like a little feature page that gives you an idea, and some nice artwork, and just a bit more of a suggestion as to what these 2 factions are and some more details about them. So, right, let's get on to the magazine, shall we? So, Issue 1, right, contents first. So you get the Knight Incantor and the Killer Boss with Stabgrot, and that's these here. So that's the Knight Incantor, that's the Killer Boss with Stabgrot. And these 2 sprues, technically 1 sprue, it's Sprue D that came originally with the Warhammer Age of Sigmar 3rd edition, known as Dominion. But you can also get this in the Warrior edition starter set, and there are 2 more starter sets. There's Harbinger and Extremis, which are 2 other editions. Just to give you an idea of what one of these models looks like built up, so there's the Knight Incantor, and as you can see, there's 2 versions of her. This is the one with the mask, and that's a lot easier to paint, and then there's the unmasked version as shown on the cover of the magazine. There's also one here that I'm in the middle of painting. Yes, I have too many of these. Don't become an influencer. or anything like that online, because believe me, you will get to a point where you go, I am sick of seeing models. I don't want to see any more models. But anyway, here's what that model looks like. I would love to show you my killer boss with Stabgrot, but I genuinely, and this is the other problem of having too many models when you become an online influencer, I don't know where they are. I have built him, I have primed him, and I cannot find any of my Cruel Boys Hawks that I built for the Dominion review. So but again, it looks like that but bigger. So value wise, it's not amazing, don't get me wrong, it's good. You're paying $2.99 for the magazine, and for a starter price with these models, they're good prices. And especially when you think, you know, a character command level model alone can cost you somewhere like £20. You could say this magazine's value based on those individual models is somewhere around £40, but you can't actually buy those units together. You can't actually buy these models individually anywhere. So in order to do that, you probably can in the future, but for now the only way to get it is part of the starter set, part of the Warrior Edition starter set. So if you take the amount of sprues in that set divided by the price of the set, for this you're looking at about £8. So you're still saving a bit of money, and you also get some free dice. I think this is clever. I think this is a really clever way of doing it, and the reason I say that is if we look back to Warhammer Mortal Realms magazine, what you got with that was an absolute load of chain rasps. I think you got 10 chain rasps, and you also got 3, not errant questors, what were they? Oh, my brain has absolutely gone today. But you basically get 3 Stormcast models. They were easy build like these are, which means, you know, there's pin and push. So there's no glue really needed on these, just snip them down and the pins should push into those. Personally, I trim the pins, makes the fit a lot better, and a lot of people prefer that way of doing it. But again, these are easy build models. But that would give you 13 models for the price of, I think it was only $1.99 back then. It might not have been $2.99. So for that, people were absolutely rinsing these from shelves. You know, people have armies now of 100 chain rasps purely from Mortal Realms magazine. And they did it with Imperium, they've done it again here by giving you just the 2 models, no paints. You can get started building and playing. You can't start painting yet in issue 1, and these aren't attractive enough. You can't really run 2 of these models in an army, so no one's going to pull these off the shelves in droves like they did with the Chain Rasps issue. So that's really good. You obviously then also get the bases. And I think, yay, I got a bonus base. Sometimes this happens. Unfortunately, sometimes it happens the other way, where you can actually end up missing a base, but just get in contact with them, they'll sort you out. And normally, as daft as it is, by replacing the whole issue. But yeah, I got an extra base in there, so that's going to go into my bonus pile. I've probably lost a few over the years. But you get the 2 bases. Oh no, sorry, I'm being ridiculous. You don't get an extra base, you've got 3 models. So you get one for the Stormcast Incantor, you get 1 for the Killer Boss, and then 1 for the Stabgrot. So I don't have a free base, but that does happen from time to time. And then you get the dice, which are necessary to play the game. So this means in issue 1, you can build and get 2 models to face off against each other and just basically play the game, which is awesome. That's how you do it. Right, let's get rid of these, open up the magazine. Okay, so let's have a quick flick through issue 1. And again, all of this, I want to say, including the contents, all of it, everything that you see in this magazine is subject to change. This is in a trial. I did notice in Imperium, the original trial version, there were some ever so slight differences between the trial version and the final release, but honestly, it was just editing, so some of the text was larger and things like that, so nothing significant. So, page 1, ramming it down your throat. Make sure this is just like ads in a video game, in a modern video game that you play on your phone, straight down your throat. So telling you the stuff that the box and the poster has already told you. Do not miss out. Make sure you get this magazine. Order it with your newsagent. I mean, you can take this into your newsagent, or you can just go, hey newsagent, please can you get this for me? But I get it. Most of us in this hobby are quite shy and will only speak to people who are in this hobby. So maybe that's a better approach for you. Subscribe and save, so you can subscribe online. Or you can even do this. I would genuinely like to know, put it down in the comments, does anybody use this method anymore of filling out your direct debit details and putting it in the post, free post, direct debit details open, stick it? Does anybody do that anymore? No, probably not. Go and speak to a friend and go and get it booked online. It's dead easy to go through, and if there's any issues, just thing it. Just don't, honestly, I'm trying to tell everyone, and if you can share the news, don't subscribe now and then go ringing them for the next 3 weeks. Even if you've subscribed during the trial, you're not going to get the trial issues. They are not going to send them to you. You are not going to see anything until August. So this does tell us what we get with the next couple of magazines. So in issue 2, that's the bumper one, $5.99, but you get 10 Cruel Boy Gut Rippers, which is awesome. They only have, I think, apart from one model that can be built differently, as the not Killer Boss, but the leader can be built as just as a standard Gut Ripper. Other than that, they're all built the same way, but you can field lots of these in a single army. So I can see issue 2 flying off the shelves because people want to double or even triple up on the amount of Cruel Boys they've got in a force. Issue 3, you get 5 Vindictors, not Vindicators, as many people still spell it online. These are your Stormcast guys with the big lances and spears. What's really cool with these, each one of them has 2 head options. So you've got the masked or unmasked version. Other than that, the poses are quite good, but you've also then got 2 of the models, both a male and a female, which can be built as the leader of the unit. So there are a few build options in those. So once again, even though it's $8.99 for that issue, I can see people doubling up on these. I'm not recommending people double up because I've been accused of, you know, it's my fault that people can't find them on the shelves because I'm telling people to buy 2 or 3 issues. If you're not aware, that's a long-running joke because, again, look, even if I don't tell you the value of these, people are going to work it out for themselves and they are going to rinse high-value issues off the shelves. The dragons, when the dragons come out, that's £60 for those dragons. You're going to get them for the price of probably 2, I say 2, at least 2, probably 3 issues. So 9, 18, 20, £27 for a £60 kit. I mean, you can go and buy the flight bases separately or make your own if you want, and then you've halved it again. So people are going to buy issues like that off the shelves. If you want in extra issues, go to Forbidden Planet, go to Hachette and get your pre-orders in ASAP. The long and short of it is, stop blaming me. Right, we've done all the bits that you really want to know. Let's have a look at the magazine. So, welcome to the Age of Sigmar. Massive introduction to the world Age of Sigmar. What's going off in the world of the Age of Sigmar. Tells you about the Stormcast Eternals. Tells you about the Cruel Boys. Gives you your Knight Arcanum. Have I been saying Knight Incantor up to this point? I don't know, I can't remember, and I'm not re-recording the video for that. So, tells you about your Knight Arcanum, who she is, what she's all about, and some details. Oh, character traits. Yeah, okay, I don't know what any of this means, because I personally don't read the lore. So, there's a load of stuff about the unit, and this is how the magazine theme follows. It pretty much does the same thing, gives you some lore about it. You can even give her the name, and this is part of your collect, make your own collection, make it your own, and do that sort of thing. So give her a name and things like that. Killer Boss and Strabgrot tells you about that unit. Not so much, pretty much the same, 2 pages. You can give them names. So you need something orky or goblin-y to go in there. How to build it. So holding your clippers. Yep, fine. Use your clippers, clip off the edges. When you get into close places like this, just be careful. Don't clip right up next to the model. It tells you there, clip right up next to the model. You can where you can, but these curved bits here, if you can see, don't try and clip right into the model there. Right, okay. Right, so on the painting section, you don't actually get any paint in this issue, so it's kind of pointless having this in the magazine, but at least they've covered the painting approach to miniatures. So the way they'll have you do it throughout this magazine, various people have got different ways and methods of painting and use different products and things like this, but this is very much the Games Workshop approach, which is essentially paint the base coats, put some shades, or also known as washers, on the model to increase the depth and they kind of run into the shadows, and then paint on the highlights. And that is the Games Workshop approach, really, and it's a very good, very straightforward approach to painting, and will have you getting some good looking models really quick. So whilst they don't have a paint guide in here, here in this section normally tells you what to paint. Like, for example, your first issue, it'll probably, I think your first paints you get are going to be Lead Belcher, you're going to get the Cantor Blue, and you're going to get the Retributor Armor Gold. So the first paint issue will have you take your Stormcast models, paint it all gold, paint the silver bits silver, and paint the blue bits blue, and that's what your guide would normally look like. What I would recommend, now, it's weird, they never talk about it in this magazine, and I think it's a completely missed opportunity. But if you are brand new to painting, get yourselves to Games Workshop, go into a store and buy one of these, and specifically Chaos Black. Don't buy the white for now. If you're a brand new beginner, get the black spray paint. Couple of reasons for that. One, when you spray a model, it creates a much more adherent surface on the model for paint to stick to. So you'll find that you get much smoother layers and your paint looks immediately better going onto a black primer than it does going onto the plastic, because the plastic is a little bit, what's the word, water, not absorbent, the opposite of absorbent, but it's that, and it basically means that your paints will tend to bead up in ways, and it won't stick to certain parts of the model, and you've got to go really thick to get some decent layers on there. So get some black paint, and the reason I say black is because if you're a beginner, black's really good, because in order to paint it and look good, you've really got to get into all the gaps. Now, if you miss any gaps and you're a new painter and they're black, it looks like shadow. Whereas if you get a white primer or a grey primer, even if it's a light model, anywhere that you haven't put paint on that should have paint on, when you look into sort of the recesses and things like that, will stick out like a sore thumb, whereas with black it will just look like shadow. The bit where I think they're missing a trick here though is they don't even mention it in the magazine. They've never mentioned it, and I know why they don't send you primer with this magazine, because spray paint is really difficult to send now in the UK, with only some couriers even having the ability to do it. I don't even think you can send spray paint via Royal Mail, so the cost alone is putting a lot of people off spray paint, which is why a lot of people have turned to airbrushing and things like that, because they're just standard acrylic paints. And I highly recommend airbrushing. Honestly, you can get an airbrush for the cost of 4 of these, so at least a beginner one. But anyway, that's a whole other topic we can talk about at a different time. But they really should stay in here. We recommend spray paint, and then that would encourage people who are buying the magazine to go and get their bum into a Games Workshop shop, and then, you know, the shop staff can do their magic and go, oh, well, since you're here, you can buy this and this, and we recommend this with Imperium. So this is great all on its own, but surely the whole point of this magazine is to get people into the hobby. So tell them about this, and tell them to get their bum into a Games Workshop shop, a Warhammer shop, sorry, I'm still old school, I'm back in the 90s, they used to be called Games Workshops shops, but get your bum into a Warhammer shop. There's one near you, trust me, within an hour of wherever you live there's a Warhammer shop, surely. Get your bum into one and go and get some paint, and then learn more about it than, you know, at least this initial mag will teach you. So that's great, brilliant mag. The painting section's wonderful, and it takes you through their painting approach. There's loads, honestly, go on, like, you'll find paint. We do our own paint guides, but everywhere does a paint guide on how to paint in various ways and what products to use and why and that sort of thing. So great part of the magazine. And then the gaming section, and honestly, they go into a lot of detail here. I have had a quick flick through earlier, but they go into a lot of detail here about what's in it. So you've got your Knight Arcanum, you've got your Killer Boss. Interestingly, that actually looks like the digital, that's the digital model, not the actual model itself. But this is where they've got these little circles, so they'll actually show you about deployment, movement, and things like that. And I think the reason for this is one thing that they don't give you in this magazine, and I don't have to hand, is the previous magazines you used to get a plastic range ruler, which again I don't have to hand. I noticed with the last battle box released, and normally with the battle boxes you get one of these plastic rulers, but in the last one that I got, which is the, sorry, not the last one, the something of the deep, Fury of the Deep, you actually got cardboard, only 9-inch for some reason. You only got cardboard range rulers as opposed to the old plastic ones. So I don't know, maybe Games Workshop are getting some benefits for being a little bit more environmentally friendly. I mean, you know, when you make these, that little bit of clear plastic isn't exactly, you know, that much more environmentally friendly, but you know, every little helps. But you don't get a range ruler in here, which is really weird. So I'm surprised one of the free gifts isn't a tape measure. So they do actually do a Games Workshop tape measure. So get yourself a decent tape measure. You're going to need one. Like, these circles are really good, but everything moves in inches across this board. That's how wargaming works. So get yourself a decent tape measure. Again, get your bum down to a Warhammer store and I haven't read this, maybe they do say that, but I don't know. And again, your first thing is literally you're gonna have your 2 models. I don't have my Killer Boss and Stab Grot, but this is, in fact, the Stab Grot's not even included. It's just Killer Boss versus Knight Arcanum. So you're literally gonna get these guys facing off against each other. But it shows you the basic rounds as a perfect introduction to the game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. You've got your battle map. You've got these wound tokens. Apparently, I've not seen them. Wound markers? I don't know where they were. But again, normally I use dice as wound markers anyway. So if you've got 3 wounds, there you go. Put a dice next to them. That's 1 wound, 2 wounds, and dead. So, but that's basically how it works. So again, it talks you through the movement, 1 attack phase, another attack phase, and that's it. So, Stormcast victory. I'm not even going to read this, but I'll assume if she kills him, then she wins. If he kills her, he wins. That's probably it. There's your wound markers. Look at that, back page. That's actually really useful. So keep that, cut them out. Useful piece of paper. So that's it. And then again, it reminds you of all the things coming in the collection. Again, cfohammer.com for the full breakdown, the value, and I've done it in the various countries. So, you know, euros, US dollars, Canadian dollars, even though it hasn't so far come out directly in Canada, and Australian dollars. And unfortunately, we haven't seen Imperium in Australia yet, but fingers crossed it'll be soon. And then slightly different change. It's normally really dark on the back with a couple of models, but they've gone for light this time. So that's probably saving them some printer ink. But here we go. So you've got your back page with what's coming in your next 2 issues. They always do what's in the next 2 issues. And then we'll see what's coming. But we know what the first 4 or probably 5 are anyway, because your 5th one is going to be this collection's exclusive model, which is that. It's one of them down here. I think it's that one there. If you can see that. Again, there's a bigger picture up on our website. But that's it. So that's our introduction to Warhammer Stormbringer. If you've skipped through the video all the way to the end, I just want to remind you that this right now is on trial, so you can go and subscribe, but you won't be charged and you won't see anything until at least August. I'm certain of it. That's exactly what happened with Imperium. So if you're lucky enough to find these in the stores, it means you live in a specific place up north and a specific place down south. But again, this will only be the first 4 issues, and it may, if they've got enough subscribers, it may even be the first 3 issues, because I know with Imperium they had that many subscribers that they didn't even put issue 4 on the shelves. They knew that that was going to go live, and it's going to go. And I've no doubt this will go live. This will go to a full collection in August, and once again we need to cover it. So stay tuned to fohammer.com for all of the coverage that we can possibly make about Warhammer Stormbringer magazine, because we've done all the previous magazines and things like that. Again, question of the week: of all of these things in that collection, what are you looking forward to the most? You can't say dragons because everyone's going to say dragons. So which of the other units are you looking forward to the most? Let me know down in the comments. Please support us on Patreon, because that's how we can keep making videos, and I will start making better videos with more angles and cuts and things like that as soon as I get the funds to get some better lighting in here. But also, like, comment, tell your friends, tell everyone, tell your dog, make him a YouTube account, get him to subscribe, because we need to be going up and up and up. Very proud of the 5,000 subscribers we've got, but still a far cry away from the, I don't know, 10 million that Midwinter Minis seems to get every week, and Squidmar and all those guys. Why do you like them more than me? Probably because they've got better content. Anyway, enough whinging. That's all from me. That's all for now on Warhammer Stormbringer. Fohammer out. Now, unfortunately, for 80% of people in the UK,